Business Unity South Africa CEO Kaz Kuvadia has labelled the comments by Minister in the Presidency Kumbutso Ntshabeni as unfortunate. At a post-cabinet briefing, the Minister in the Presidency said the private sector is trying to collapse government after British multinational Standard Chartered Bank admitted to engaging in currency manipulation. Kuvadia is of the belief that the comments are far from the truth.
We are working with government and we've raised funds to actually donate capacity to government and expertise to government to do some of the stuff that government needs to do. So I don't know. I think the comments by the minister are extremely unfortunate. I hope that she will perhaps clarify them, but from what I've seen, we've just got to say quite clearly that it's far from the case. In fact, our partnership with government since we first met with the President Ramaphosa in April this year has been better than the partnership we've had with government before. So it's far from the facts, and it's a very, very unfortunate statement.
Listening in on that is Makgale Mohlala, who is the head of Cartels at the Competition Commission. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. We were meant to speak today, and thank you very much for honoring the invite today. When we take a look at the background to the story, it's almost 7 years later. Perhaps there's a lot to digest, but maybe in a nutshell, because I do not believe we have spoken, help our viewers understand how we got to this point.
Well, the case started in 2015 when the Commission launched an investigation into possible manipulation of the rand-dollar currency pair. And the investigation indeed uncovered that there was a manipulation of the currency pair by some local and international banks. So the Commission referred the matter to the competent tribunal for prosecution. And where we are now, we are at the stage where 23 banks are facing that prosecution and have been challenging the Commission for that. So the first challenge was at the tribunal itself. They challenged, they did not win. They appealed to the Competition Appeal Court. In 2019, the Competition Appeal Court issued a judgment directing the Commission to supplement its referral papers. The Commission did that, and the banks challenged again. And in this year, in March, the tribunal decided that the Commission has made out its case is clear. The banks should answer to the allegations against them. Instead of answering, so the banks appealed again to the Competition Appeal Court. The appeal was heard last week. The entire of last week, we had the banks presenting the appeal and the Commission defending its case. So as we were dealing with that, then we reached an agreement with Standard Chartered Bank, which then last week agreed to settle with the Commission with admission of liability and paid a penalty of 42.7 million. So in a nutshell, that is where we are. Thank you.
Sure. So of the 28 banks that you were looking at, is it a correct understanding that only one bank has accepted or admitted liability and then paid a fine? One of the 28?
No, actually it's not one. So you have 3 banks that have basically approached the Commission seeking leniency. They are in a one group, Barclays, and ABSA at the time was controlled by Barclays, so it's part of those 3. So you have that 3, and then you have Citibank that have settled in 2016. They paid 69 million roundabout there. And then now you have Standard Chartered that has just reached the agreement with the Commission last week. So you have 5 banks that are actually on the side of the Commission, assisting the Commission in the prosecution of the remaining 23 out of the 28.
Sure. How much was lost in trying to understand whether the sanction is enough?
We don't know at this stage. The matter is still under prosecution. So once the prosecution got underway, hopefully some of the details, such as the one you're asking about, will come to light.
There's a figure of some 1 trillion rand a day being lost in South Africa as a result of this behavior that has been attributed to the Competition Commission. Is that something that you are aware of?
Yes, I'm aware. It is actually attributed to me.
Okay.
I can take the opportunity to correct that and clarify.
Please do so.
I did not say that. What I said is that trading in currency globally, it's trillions a day. So you're trading with euro, dollar, yen. So all that in the trading market, it's trillions a day. So it's not the cartel that has made a trillion, or it's not the profit that has been made. It is the trading in general.
Fair enough. So does that suggest that we have not yet been able to quantify how much was lost to as a result of this on the part of the country? Does that also suggest that we have not been able to quantify how that would have had a direct impact on you and I as South Africans?
Yeah, I mean, yes, that is correct in terms of quantification. We have not been able to quantify. And at this stage, we may be able to do so after the prosecution or during the prosecution of the matter. We have not yet got to the prosecution. We are still dealing with challenges that the banks are mounting against the case, against the charges against them. So, but what we do know that when you manipulate the currency, you are obviously causing some impact on consumers and especially people who buy goods in the international market that have got to buy a currency, dollars. So if they buy dollar expensive, obviously it affects them. If people sell goods overseas and they have to, sell them in rands, which is converted into dollar, and those goods find that the dollar has been, the rand has been weakened, so they will actually sell their goods cheaply in the international market, and as a result, they are making some loss. So at that broad level, yes, there has been an impact, but that has not been quantified.
Collectively, sir, of the 5 banks that have paid, how much has been collected just from those 5 banks so far?
Yeah, the 3 of the 5 received leniency. They are part of one group. They are part of Cartels, which is our leniency applicant. 2 paid penalties, Citibank and Standard Chartered. So their penalty collectively is just above 100 million.
Where does the money go? Who does the money go to? The money that you have collected either for leniency or for the fine?
Leniency, they don't pay. They get immunity from prosecution in exchange for being the witness, providing the evidence. But the money goes to the National Revenue Fund, which then gets to be appropriated as part of the budget that is distributed by Minister of Finance. So that's where the money goes.
Mm-hmm. So leniency means that you give the Competition Commission information in exchange for not being prosecuted. So these 3 banks under Barclays, are these the banks that then helped the Commission in the investigation to, tell on the people that they were in cahoots with?
Correct. So cartels are very secretive. So you need to be part of them to know what is going on. It's very difficult for anyone, including ourselves, to uncover them without the assistance of those that are involved, which is why the Commission has developed this corporate leniency policy, which encourages firms to talk on each other, to report each other in exchange for immunity from prosecution. So when you come, you've got to disclose what you did with who and give us the evidence, the actual evidence of the cartel that you were involved in.
My understanding of the law is very limited, and so maybe, and also this example may be too simple, but please assist. So perhaps if Ududuzile commits a crime and she then wants to tell against Hosi Masilela, I will go then as a state witness. I will still get a sanction, maybe not 25 years, but I will get a sanction. How helpful is the approach of the Competition Commission to not have a sanction for those who then tell on those they were in cahoots with? Is there a determination in terms of this particular group, at least, how much they benefited? How helpful is that approach, more so when you take a look at the reaction since the news came out?
Yeah, I mean, so if you don't have this program that you immunize someone who tell on others, so you may not know at all that there is a cartel of that nature. So if we didn't have this program, it's possible that we wouldn't know, even by now, that at some point banks manipulated the rent. So credit really should be given to the program, because it helps us to unearth this cartel. It's 28 banks. It's huge. It's a big cartel of powerful entities, banks. So without the program, you wouldn't know that. But also, you would want to encourage anyone who wants to come forward that they are not going to face a prosecution, because then if you still want to prosecute them when they are seen, that simply will discourage them from coming forward. Why would you go forward just to get yourself prosecuted? And remember, here we are dealing with very secretive activities. Not activities that can be uncovered by anyone walking around the street and tell you that there's a cartel. No. Only people who are in that cartel knows it. Majority of us would not know anything unless we get assistance from them. That's why the policy is designed in such a way that it encourages the one that comes first to get a full immunity from prosecution in return to cooperating with the Commission to prosecute others. So we still have them. They are going to have to be our witnesses when the trial starts.
Oh, this is going to trial? After
these challenges, which were heard by Competition Appeal Court last week, and if the court decides that the banks must answer to the charges, after that, there will be a trial, which is what the banks are avoiding. They don't want to go on trial, because at the trial, everything comes out. Everybody will know exactly what they did and how did they do it. Perhaps how much have they made out of it.
Like you said, this is quite secretive, and when you speak of the trial and you say no one wants certain information to come out, just maybe given the history of whistleblowers in the country as well, whether they were part of it or not, has there been any concern that you have noted in terms of people who have come forward in collaboration with the work that you do with the relevant other law enforcement agencies in the country?
No, not quite. I mean, they approach the Commission under the policy. They disclose information. We take the information, we use it to prosecute others. And anyone who is in business in South Africa knows about this. that there is a corporate leniency policy that, and these guys, the Barclays guys, are not the first one to use it. Even the construction cartel, if you recall a construction cartel, it was also reported by one of those that was in the meetings where they were discussing and agreeing on how to deal with issues of 2010 World Cup Stadia and other construction projects. And I mean, we prosecute contraventions of the Competition Act. That's where we start and end. And if there are other law enforcement agencies that also are interested, I'm sure they can look into that.
Okay. Just finally for us, in a nutshell, if no one comes forward and tells, then you yourself will not know. For future purposes, while we're still counting the cost, not only for the country, but you and I, what do you perceive, what does the future look like? What does the future of South Africa look like in this space?
Well, we are obviously not just sitting and waiting for a leniency applicant to approach us. There are other means of detecting the cartels. Sometimes you get disgruntled employees coming to report their employers. Sometimes you find directors that are fired coming to report. Sometimes customers come and report, and we also sometimes do some studies that tells us that there may be a cartel there. But remember, all those, they don't necessarily give you the details of what has happened in the room where discussion around the cartel took place or are taking place. So the advantage of having someone who was involved in the discussion is that you get the first-hand account of things, which actually makes your case stronger. And I mean, we, as we've demonstrated with this prosecution of the banks, we are very determined to prosecute any cartel that rear its head in South Africa, whether local or international. And we have demonstrated in the past that we are capable of doing that. And I don't think there's any businessman in South Africa that would decide to collude and not think that we will catch them and prosecute them. So if they do that, they're doing it at their own risk.
Mohlala, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Makgale Mohlala is head of Cartels at the Competition Commission.